But I will say this. I don't think that what you're doing does that. I don't think that you're coordinating. And I'm saying
the glazing's out of control, Peter. Come on, what's going on here?
I'm trying to draw a distinction between what drama is versus what HBomberguy is doing, which is it's not just straightforwardly drama, because there's a coordinated effort behind it. On Reddit, for instance, on r.
Okay, so yeah, you've been very active in this conversation. I'm not sure if I totally agree with what you said, but I think I've got some points of agreement with some of your concerns, I guess. But what have you got to say?
Well, I think that, for one, you're completely... our overlap here, I think, is in HBomberguy's, not necessarily culpability, but the fact that he has explained himself as having views that essentially point at this as the problem. Like, Gamergate was this. The whole Kiwi Farms thing has been this. He's made just an endless amount of content about harassment campaigns on the internet. And then he turns around and essentially says, this guy's scum, don't harass him. Don't harass the scum. He's a terrible man. Terrible. He's the worst man. Terrible man. Don't harass him, though. That type of thing. It's
that's wonderful.
That's our overlap. But I do think that he does have some degree of responsibility here. I do think that, because this is a person who was working to create a career in this area of YouTube, this content basket, I guess, whatever you want to call it. And what he's done is he didn't just say, oh, you plagiarized and that's bad. He spent months making it so that it's not possible for him to operate on the internet at all. So forget even the content space that he's involved in. If this guy posts anything, it's downvoted, it's covered in comments, he's really made it not possible to exist as a content creator, which is something that, despite what a lot of people think, does bleed over into real life. In 2011, had a controversy where people thought that I made up a girlfriend. I was catfished. And it was brought up on Gawker, which got all over the place. And you'd think that would primarily affect my content. But I couldn't get a normal job for a long time. I could, when I was finally able to get employment, it created hostile workplaces. I would be at a
Honestly,
job
Peter,
for a
it
while.
sounds like this bothers you because of your own personal experiences with this more than anything else.
Well, I have experienced it. No, it doesn't. But it's not just that. It's that there is a level of power that these people don't want to admit that they have. That's what my big problem is here.
Okay, sure. But then I feel like you're being a bit dishonest here, Peter, because I've seen your tweets and you've been going hard at HBomberguy, saying he is responsible.
I think that he is.
Right. Okay. But then you're trying to be like, oh no, it's just talk about what power these people have.
Well, that's what it is. I mean, this is a guy who's able to make a video with 17 million views versus a guy who's able to make a video that doesn't get anything even close to that. People are acting like I have the power to kill HBomberguy by criticizing him, but it's like, no, I don't have.
Yeah, but by your own logic, don't you though?
No.
But let's say you released a video about him and it got 18 million views, right? Which, I'm not sure how likely that is.
Okay, so what are we criticizing him about, though? We're not criticizing him for stealing content. We're criticizing him for attacking somebody and doing everything possible to undermine him in every possible way. These are also different things.
Sure, but then I guess the question would be, how responsible is... I mean, I don't want to fucking defend HBomberguy here. This is so annoying. But
no, I'm also not trying to push it into defending him.
Sure. My concern is, if we put too heavily on creators the responsibility of the audience, it does make it more difficult to do content where you're criticizing someone, because then it's like, oh, be careful of criticizing them because they might kill themselves. And I just think
I disagree with that, though, because the kind of criticism that one does, it's like, if you say this guy is scum, he's absolutely the worst thing in the world, he's so terrible, he's bad, on something that's very minor, and then you say don't harass him, and then you continue to say that he's terrible, evil, based on something that ultimately, the harm that they attempt to say that this man has caused, it's not provable in any way. It's unfalsifiable harm. It's just a nebulous pretend harm. They say, oh, well, if somebody watches his video on this thing, then they're not going to watch this other video. That's not true. That's nonsense. The whole idea that this is all on equal footing, I disagree with. I don't think that I don't think that this falls under the purview of just criticism.
It comes across like you're pushing for like more creative responsibility, and I just fucking despise that whole argument.
Well,
I just think that's stupid.
I actually don't think that, because I don't think that it really matters to do this stuff. I think that I would like to see more creator honesty, because I think that if they were open about what this actually was, I don't think it would be effective in the same way. I don't think that if they were saying, yeah, we want this guy to kill himself, that it would actually have the kind of effect that it has when they're claiming that it's about the plagiarism.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, obviously I agree with you that the harm caused is massively overstated. And without getting into all the fucking leftoid shit, the Marxist shit, okay?
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid that.
No, that's fine. But it's like these people shouldn't care about property in the way that they do, because they're supposed to be lefties. But then they demand that people take intellectual property seriously.
Right? Yeah, I mean, if we're going to get into intellectual property...
No, don't get too far with it, Peter, because it's annoying, okay? Just a little taste.
But it's not
fine.
just something I dislike. The libertarians agree with the exact same... Like, the intellectual property is bullshit. That's across the... Like, people like piracy, for instance.
No, sure. But then, I think that whilst I agree with you that the fact that this guy... I feel like we just disagree on how culpable HBomberguy is. Right? That's it.
I think that's probably really all it is. I think that what you're saying is generally pretty correct. I want it to be said that I do think that to have a 17 million view video that's essentially doing everything possible to discredit, it can have consequences beyond just like, oh, people don't like this guy's content anymore, Yeah,
but here's the thing. How do we deal with that consequence without limiting creators' ability to do what they want with their content?
Well, again, I don't think that it's worth limiting what they do. I think it's worth people understanding that it just exists. Like, you can actually, like, if HBomberguy is able to influence him into oversighting his content, which he is very obviously, like, he cited his stock footage in that video, which is fucking stupid. If he's able to influence him into that, he's able to influence him in more ways than that. That's a very simple, easy thing to do.
Right, so you're saying HBomberguy's video made him change his ways because he was called out, right?
Not just the video's reach and the way that it characterized him with a fan base that is already pre-trained on seeing the baddies as not human and worth treating however.
Okay. By the way, I'm keeping it open ended. If a panel comes to this, a panel comes to this. But if you want to join the green room, I'll pull you in. Right. What are you here for? Why are you here? Okay. That was. Yeah, I don't know, Peter, because having seen some of your takes on this, like, there's one that I saw. I think you were calling out. There was a post where someone was like, "Oh, I hope HBomberguy doesn't feel bad about this" or something, right?
Yeah, I hope he does.
We can barely hear you.
Oh, you can barely hear me? Fuck.
Yeah, I can't hear you at all. I can hear.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I have to fuck with my mic all the time.
What the fuck do you want?
So, Peter, how much do you know about HBomberguy's past? Like, in a nutshell?
Not a whole. I know about him since Gamergate, and there's a lot of stuff going. Yeah.
So when I've poked around with one of my friends, Beckett, he has told me that the thing that HBomber is known for of having a history of is destroying people. He does not stop at just talking about you. He destroys you until you have nothing left. And this is something that you'll probably see Medicare touch on.
Okay.
So if you want to go look at, you have to use Kiwi Farms to learn about this shit. But if you want to look into that, have fun. I just wanted to point that out. Sorry,
well,
Chud.
I'm gonna watch that stream. That's definitely, I think, relevant
Okay.
information.
Is that what you got to say?
Friday,
Yeah,
correct?
yes, you have a good one, Chud.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I this is the problem I've got is, I just think that when you start to label people, like, where do you draw the line on this, right? If someone gets criticized and someone kills themselves, where do you draw the line on saying, well, they're responsible? I guess maybe I'm a bit biased on this as well, because, if I covered someone and they top themselves, right? Like,
Well,
your argument,
but
especially if my community was going a bit ham on them, am I then responsible? Like, that sounds crazy to me.
the trick is you don't cover in a way that is intended to dehumanize. Even when you're saying somebody sucks.
I feel like you're blowing smoke up my ass, Peter. I think I do speak quite harshly.
Because you speak harshly, but speaking harshly and openly speaking harshly, in my opinion, is acting like a normal human being. I don't
really?
think what HBomberguy is doing is acting like a normal human being. I think it's obsessive and insane. I don't think you're doing obsessive shit. Do you think that you're doing obsessive shit?
I mean, I personally wouldn't say so, but I can understand another person might look at my Mama Max coverage and say, oh, Chud, you went pretty hard on Mama Max over a period of weeks. That seemed excessive.
Fair, but like, again, you noted this earlier, and you are straightforward and honest when you said this. There is a monetary incentive that you're happy to follow. You are honest and straightforward about that. Where is that with HBomberguy? He pretends that like monetary, I'm opting out of all of the monetary incentives. All of the money will go to the victims of Somerton. No, it's bullshit. It's like you're honest and he's not. Like if you want to get really serious about it, like that's the real line.
I mean, this is great to hear this, Peter, but I don't know. It feels like that's easy on me because I look at my content and I think, fuck, if someone topped themselves because of me, I mean, I probably wouldn't care, but necessarily, but I would feel like, am I then responsible for that? Like, that sounds.
Again, I think that a lot of the reason that all of the type of thing that HBomber, and maybe this is worth talking about in a more like longer form discussion elsewhere. I don't know, because this is a thought that I'm just having. I think that it's worth talking about the difference between taking these progressive bits of language. I've written a book about it, but taking this progressive language and using it in the opposite way that it's literally for, which I think that is more, it's more gaslighty, it's more insane sounding. Like these people who use nice language to encourage people, or rather discourage people, not encourage, discourage people from being able to participate in society. I think it's worse than just like openly saying like this guy's a fucking fag or some shit, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think that for me, I don't know. I mean, it's great to hear you say nice things that I'm not going to kill anyone.
Well, I'm not trying to suck up. Like if you get out and you say some shit like this person deserves to die, I hope they die. That's the equivalent of that would be your equivalent because of the way that you say things to what he's doing. What he's doing is it's a progressive gaslighting version of this guy deserves to die. You would have to actually say that because you say what you mean. You're literal. You know, there's a difference here.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, my criticism starts and ends with these guys are hypocrites and they'll complain about others whilst doing the same behavior themselves.
That's a completely fair viewpoint to have. In my
sure.
opinion.
I guess that. Yeah, I just think that you open up a can of worms when you start to say that this person is responsible for this person topping themselves. And
I don't want. Okay, so maybe I should walk back the idea that he's just individually responsible for it. But he did whip up a full fucking like hate mob for months and months, and the idea that has absolutely no bearing over a person's mental health it's wrong. It is wrong. I've been through it. I've seen it. I know what it's like to have years and years and years of people, anytime you do anything, they show up to discredit it, whether that's on the internet or it's in your real life. Again, it happens it has consequences beyond it. And if people take away your ability to exist in society, the idea that it has no effect on your mental health or well-being, it's not correct. But I will say this, I don't think that what you're doing does that. I don't think that you're coordinating, and I'm saying this
the glazing's out of control, Peter. Come on, what's going on here?
I'm trying to draw a distinction between what drama is, which is oftentimes just like repeating rumors and being kind of snarky, versus what HBomberguy is doing, which is it's not just straightforwardly drama, because there's a coordinated effort behind it. On Reddit, for instance, on our HBomberguy, instantaneously upon release of this documentary, they created this naughty and nice list that they curated people who are not plagiarizing, but also people who are plagiarizing. The not plagiarizing part being the kind excuse for why this is not harassment.
Well, okay, listen, I think, yeah. So I think people that are open about it being drama and stuff, you know, I see myself as like a kind of tabloid thing. I guess the difference is that they act like it's virtuous, right? That's the fundamental difference. They're acting like it's very virtuous and they're doing the right thing, and that's
there's coordination and there's organization behind the scenes. It's not just the video that HBomberguy's producer is the one who specifically worked on this organizing. There's more to it than just the video. The video certainly had a large amount of reach, but it acts as a bat signal for people who want to participate in something. You're not doing that.
Okay.
I think that's a distinction that is material. Like it's
okay. You're not allowed to say anything nice about me for the rest of this call, okay? Enough.
All right. You're an ugly fag.
Yeah, okay, dude, stop saying that word. That's naughty. That is not allowed on Twitch. No.
Sorry. You're an ugly homo.
Okay, that's better. That'll do.
All right.
Okay, no, listen. Okay. Anyway, listen. Before we wrap things up in a bit, you've been weighing in on this. You've had a lot of criticism over your shit with HBomberguy. What's that all about?
Well, you know, I mean, I made my documentary that is a bunch of Marxist shit that probably a lot of people aren't going to be particularly interested in. But it is sort of an argument.
Why'd you put all that boring shit in it? It's boring. Why'd you do that?
Because I don't make content that is interesting.
Right.
No, because I have an argument that I want to make. I actually want to say shit. You know, I want to make a point about intellectual property and about the type of criticism that HBomb is making. It is ultimately something against the way that he's criticizing, which I do think is different, again, than the way, like, again, you're just saying, like, mean shit. It's different than coordinating and organizing, you know?
Oh, right, okay, yeah. So basically, HBomberguy's community has coordinated. You're saying they're coordinated in the Reddit. I know what you're talking about. Like I saw it earlier. Oh, we're tracking down the plagiarists.
There's a big fundamental difference between just making a video and having your producer then make an accompanied, like, organizing effort with the video and essentially pushing the fans towards something which, like, you know, it's activism. It's just activism against a single guy, you know?
Right, okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, apart from who is culpable, I think, you know, I agree with a lot of your takes on this. People have been pretty crazy about this conversation and this issue. So.
Yeah. Again, I think that, you know, it's fine not to agree on certain elements of it, because I think there's a lot of overlap in what we're saying either way.
Okay, right. Let's wrap this up. What have you got to shill? What do you want to shill?
Watch my documentary. Plato is a bitch. Plato is a bitch. AI and Bomber Guy. It's on the Very Important Documentaries channel. Also, follow me on Twitter.
Some people in my community had a bit of a negative response to that documentary, I think.
That's fine. You know, I'm not
also,
here.
Sorry, one other thing. What's this business about you paying for ads on Twitter? What the fuck is that about?
Well, people were very mad at me for spending $20 to promote one of my videos on Twitter. They're also mad at me for paying for a blue check mark. I'm a fascist for having a blue check mark. That's the new one that's come up.
I think people just prefer organic growth over advertising growth. Over, like,
yeah, I think 20. I think when it makes people mad, it's funny to do stuff like that. Personally, but that's
okay. But isn't that a bit like metaphorically kicking yourself in the balls, Peter?
I mean, I've physically done that. Like, you're coming at me with the wrong angle here.
Well, that's my point, right?
I think that sometimes it's fine to use yourself, like it's self-deprecating, just in a way that isn't necessarily in the way that I'm talking. It's self-deprecating humor. Like, ultimately, it makes people mad. It makes the right people mad, in my opinion. So it's whatever.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on and giving your takes on this. Appreciate it. I'll catch you next time.
Have a good one. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers. Bye. Jesus Christ, that man certainly knows how to kick himself in the balls, doesn't he? Good Lord. Dude, the glazing was out of control. Yeah, Peter needs to get in spicy chat, I agree. I'm shiny, am I? The issue for me with that whole thing is I know there's a differentiation that's trying to be made there. But I think that, like, by the logic of HBomberguy, I mean, maybe some of the aspects are different, but, you know, I just think back to when people before have messaged me begging me to take a video down, and they're like, oh, I feel really depressed about this. And I'm like, no. No. And I'm just like, if they kill themselves and are responsible for that, that sounds crazy to me. What do you mean? Am I shiny? Am I? I don't feel like I am. You guys are just, it's the lighting or something. I don't know.